What if Daenerys Targaryen had never burned King's Landing? What if, instead of unleashing the fury of Drogon upon the city, she chose mercy and justice, ending the war without destroying the capital? In this video, we're diving deep into this alternate scenario to explore how the story of Game of Thrones could have played out if Daenerys had made a different decision. Would the Iron Throne have still been hers? Would Jon Snow have stayed loyal to her? Would the city have been rebuilt? Or would the war for Westeros continue? Let's explore this theory and see what might have happened if Daenerys had chosen a path of restraint and reason instead of fire and blood. In the final episode of Game of Thrones, Daenerys Targaryen makes a decision that changes everything. After taking King's Landing, she orders Drogon to destroy the city, leaving thousands dead and the Iron Throne in ruins. But what if, instead of acting out of rage and vengeance, she had chosen to confront Cersei Lannister and demand her surrender? What if Daenerys had offered peace, making Cersei her ally, and convincing the people of King's Landing that she could bring true change to Westeros? This decision would have shifted the entire power dynamic. Jon Snow wouldn't have been torn over his loyalty to Daenerys, and Tyrion wouldn't have felt the need to betray her. The city would still be standing, and the fight for the throne would be far from over. Had Daenerys decided against burning King's Landing, she would have emerged as a conqueror, but not a destroyer. Cersei Lannister, now defeated but alive, would likely have been brought to trial, facing the consequences of her actions. The city of King's Landing would not be left in ashes, and the people, who had suffered under Cersei's reign, could have started to rebuild with hope instead of fear. But the bigger question remains: would the people have embraced Daenerys as their ruler, or would the Lannister loyalists have rebelled against her claim? What about the nobles and lords of Westeros? Would they have seen Daenerys as a true queen, or just another conqueror, bent on taking the throne through bloodshed? By sparing King's Landing, Daenerys would have likely gained more support from the people, but it would not have guaranteed her rule. The political landscape would have been filled with competing factions and struggles for power, especially among the noble houses who were never truly loyal to her. One of the most important factors in this alternate timeline is Jon Snow's relationship with Daenerys. In the original story, Jon Snow eventually turns on Daenerys after her destructive decision to burn King's Landing. But without this act of madness, would Jon still have felt the need to rebel against her? If Daenerys had chosen mercy, Jon Snow might have stayed by her side, possibly even becoming her right-hand man in the governance of Westeros. They could have ruled together, bringing a new era of peace to the realm. Sansa Stark might have accepted Daenerys as queen as well, and the North may have been brought into the fold under her rule. However, Jon Snow's loyalty was always tied to honor and justice. If Daenerys had ruled with compassion and fairness, Jon might not have felt the need to step in and challenge her. The romantic tension between them would also have remained intact, possibly leading to a stronger alliance rather than the tragic ending they both met. Another key figure in this scenario is Tyrion Lannister, Daenerys' most trusted advisor. In the original story, Tyrion faces intense guilt after Daenerys burns King's Landing and ultimately betrays her in an attempt to stop her descent into madness. But if Daenerys had chosen mercy and not gone on a killing spree, Tyrion would likely have played a much more central role in shaping the future of Westeros. Tyrion would have been able to guide Daenerys in ruling, avoiding the destruction of King's Landing and fostering alliances across the Seven Kingdoms. The people of Westeros would have seen Daenerys not as a mad queen, but as someone who was willing to break the cycle of violence. Tyrion's wisdom would have ensured that the realm didn't fall into chaos, and he would have been seen as one of the key architects of a new Westeros. After Daenerys takes King's Landing, if she chooses to rule justly, she would be faced with the monumental task of rebuilding Westeros after years of war. The Iron Throne would no longer be the seat of power. It would be a symbol of the new era. Daenerys would need to focus on diplomacy, rebuilding the cities, and ensuring that the noble houses are aligned to her reign. But there would still be challenges. How would she balance her ambition with the realities of ruling? Would she allow the noble houses to retain their power, or would she centralize it all under her control? The political struggle would continue, but without the bloodshed that came with the burning of the city. If Daenerys had never burned King's Landing, her legacy would have been one of compassion rather than devastation. Instead of being remembered as the Mad Queen, she could have been hailed as the breaker of chains, the woman who freed Westeros from tyranny and brought it into a new age of peace and prosperity. Her story might not have ended in tragedy. She could have died as a just ruler, a queen who chose the hard path of mercy over vengeance. Would she still have taken the Iron Throne? Or would she have worked to create a system of governance that left power with the people rather than a single monarch? In the end, the world of Game of Thrones could have been very different if Daenerys had chosen a path of mercy. By sparing King's Landing, she could have avoided the chain of events that led to her downfall. Jon Snow, Tyrion, and even Cersei might have seen her as a queen worth supporting, and Westeros could have entered a new era of peace instead of chaos. But as we all know, the show took a different path, one marked by fire and blood. So, what do you think? How would Daenerys' rule have changed if she had never burned King's Landing? Would Westeros have been better off? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more alternate endings and fan theories.